Welcome back to Reviews from the Back Row. We have a special guest today.
Thank you.
No, not you.
Oh.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce your guest?
Well, I feel like that takes the focus off of me, so I don't really want to do that. But my daughter, Amelia Morris, we'll just refer to her as Mia. Is that fair? Mia, hello.
Yes. Hello.
I thought since it's end of the year, we're going to do a little recap, but what our audience doesn't know, all two of them, is that
we gained somebody?
Well, Mia is now going to watch it, so that's the other one. And
yes.
My parents don't even watch this.
Oh.
Well, they don't really like you from what I've heard.
But don't you think you would just go, my son is doing something and I want to support him? No, we literally show them, like, here's the video, here's what we did. And they go, that's great. And they don't listen. But the reason I brought Mia is that people won't know that for, would it be 15 years now?
Yeah.
Every Monday for 15 years, unless you've had volleyball or there's been, even during holidays, we are always at the movies. At least one movie a week for 50 weeks a year for 15 years. So would it be fair to say that you've experienced a lot of movies, you know what you like and don't like? Okay.
Yes, for sure.
And then Nate, since you are the pro at you know how to make movies, I thought this would be a great blending of the minds. And if it's not, it's at least a show.
Hey, content's content, right?
Content is content. So I thought we'd bring you up to speed that we just saw Aquaman 2 as you're seeing this probably in the year 2032. We just saw Aquaman 2 last night, and I sent you our review that we do when we come out of the movies.
Yeah.
First off, we didn't cover Aquaman 2, and I think you and I did not on Reviews from the Back Row. I don't think we talked about it.
No.
Because we forgot about it. And so did DC.
Yeah.
They didn't do a premiere or anything.
Why don't I do my magic editing skills and I'll put what you sent me in the video. How's that sound?
That's a great idea. I thought we were going to
stop talking for 2 seconds and let me show.
We just saw Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom.
What did you think?
Who's in it first?
Jason Momoa, who is Momoing all through this movie.
The hair flips.
If you like him, you'll like this because he does what Jason Momoa always does. Go on.
Who else was in it?
Patrick Wilson, I believe.
Who else was in it?
Nicole Kidman and her face.
Who else was in it?
Oh my God, what is her name? Amber Heard.
Oh,
Awful.
Unfortunately.
So we saw it on opening night. Is this a rush out and go see?
No. It was okay. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was okay.
It's just average. The thing is, this is a combination of everything that you already see. If you like Star Wars, there's a lot of Star Wars type things. If you like Iron Man, that's in there too.
Things. They also say Loki.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
This is not a rush out and see. If you like Aquaman, go see it. It's better than The Flash.
It's the end of the Snyderverse.
And in the R.I.P. to the Snyderverse.
Rip.
What I thought you were going to do is insert the entire Aquaman film in this. And I think that's the only way people are going to see it.
That would actually turn people away. We'll lose our 2 subscribers, so we don't want to do that.
Good idea. Put some cuts of The Flash. That went really well. Mia, you are representing a different demographic. You are at this time 16 years old, yeah?
Correct.
So I'm 48. Nate, you are
37.
A lady never tells her age. But
you just asked me for mine.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
You're a child still.
Oh, wow.
What I want to know is I want to hear what Nate thought Aquaman 2 was going to be. Actually, it's Aquaman Lost
The Lost Kingdom.
The Lost Kingdom.
I think.
Yeah, that's
it's that forgettable.
They literally,
guys.
yeah. What did you think Aquaman 2 would be? And we will fill you in on if you're correct or not.
So I'd never had high hopes for it anyway.
Even though the first one did $1 billion, that doesn't sway you.
Because of their last handful of films, their track record, I didn't have much faith that it would be that great. I figured it would be okay. That was my guess, and from what I've heard, and the review we just watched, that it was just okay. But from the trailers, it looked like it was, and it's been a while since I've seen the Young Justice cartoon, but the bad guy, what's his name?
Black Manta.
Black Manta, that's it. So from the trailer, it looked like he's the big baddie and he's trying to destroy Aquaman and their entire kingdom.
You kind of got that right. We will go into detail about this. Here's the problem. Mia, do you want to?
Do we need to give a spoiler alert to anybody?
No one's going to watch it. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to give. We're not going to spoil it.
Okay.
Because here's how I feel about it. I don't like to look at leaks on the internet. I don't want to know. Yeah. I want to see it for myself because it's kind of like Rebel Moon that we will discuss.
Oh, so good.
If you saw what the critics were saying, they were giving it a 0 out of 100.
Wait, for Aquaman?
No, for Rebel Moon.
Oh, wow.
I don't trust critics because a critic score doesn't mean anything to me. It is, do I enjoy this? So a perfect example, the first Suicide Squad that everyone's like, oh, we hate it, blah, 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 blah. I love that movie.
It wasn't bad.
It is edited poorly.
Correct.
Because the studio took it over. But to me, that's what the Suicide Squad is. I've read the books. We've watched the animated movies, all that kind of stuff. And watching Young Justice, a lot of those characters are in it. And I'm like, that is true to form. Also love the second Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one.
That was really good.
Yeah. And there are people that still will say how bad that is. And that's critics telling you that, which keeps people away. What I will say is, Mia, you can go ahead and start to critique of Aquaman, the Lost City of the sequel. What is your take on what you saw?
So, from the beginning, it was kind of like trying to fill you in on what happened like the past couple years. And instead of like just showing you what was happening, it was like telling you a story that I feel like could have been the movie, but nope, we're just going to skip over it. And then Amber Heard came on screen. I do not like that woman at all.
And I will say it was not a packed theater, right?
No.
Every time Amber Heard...
DC premiere is pretty bad.
My eyes rolled back in my head so bad they hit the back of my belt loop.
At least the good thing with that, she'll be able to pay Johnny Depp, right?
Well, you'd hope so. But here's on the Amber Heard part. What we'd heard is she was a big part of the movie. Then it was down that she was 5 to 10 minutes of screen time. That is not what happens. And again, that's not a spoiler. But pick up on what I was going to say is the crowd reaction is, first of all, I'm rolling my eyes. I look in front of us because we buy what we call the asshole seats in the very back of the theater. And to explain what that is.
So the theater, they usually sell them where the pairs are like grouped together in like a little like pod or something, but we do it so nobody sits by us, so we buy one like of the pods that are next to each other. We buy one of each so that no people sit on either side of us.
Yeah. And only one time has someone done that, and it was
by accident.
Yeah, but I was looking around, and when Amber Heard's on screen, you could see everyone in the theater go, oh. So anyway, go on. So Amber Heard, that disturbed you. Go on.
I forget where it was. Oh, like after like the first 10 minutes, they finally start to get into the story. But it starts to get like kind of weird because you can tell they edited it funny. And and like maybe in some cuts, Amber Heard wasn't there at all. Because there's a lot of confusion of like when she's around like Arthur's house or not. This is throughout the whole film as well.
But this is not a spoiler. But
it's not a spoiler. You and I picked it's just the dialogue doesn't match up.
But you can give this piece of dialogue that's confusing because I think people are going to miss it in the first, like they're going to hear it and it's going to be awkward, and then they're going to go, "Well, wait a minute, what?" Give the explanation of the most awkward part of the film.
There's a line that Arthur says to his dad, and he's like, I don't know how you did it being a single parent, like saying like he's a single parent too. Something along the lines he says he's a single parent. But then you're like, we just saw Amber Heard in the last scene as Mira.
The scene right before.
She's with them.
She's with the baby and she's with Arthur Curry. And then in the next scene, they are toasting Guinness which is throughout the entire movie.
They got their advertisement.
Guinness must have paid $400 million to be part of this movie because there is Guinness in 40% of the movie. But I know that you would pick up on this if you saw it. It would annoy you because there have to be multiple cuts of this movie. And what we did here is that Michael Keaton's Batman was supposed to be in this movie. So the canceled Batgirl movie was going to be Keaton pulling this all together. The movie, however, still works taking that plot out, that subplot out. But you can tell something's missing.
Wow. Yeah.
So
It just doesn't feel like a whole story.
the other thing is it is almost like a throwback to other better movies. So
There are a lot of references.
the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, I would say 25% of the movie, things that you saw in the prequels, you see on the screen with no reference. They do reference Marvel in a funny way, not funny, haha, but like just in a weird boom, it's there. But there's so many things that they stole from the prequels of Star Wars where you go, oh, I really like that
It's not even
scene.
just the prequels. It's the thing from Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, Empire Strikes Back. Iron Man 3. No, the original Iron Man. That's what I mean. It's a mix of all the things that you really liked. And then there's...
And then it's like soup. They mix it all together.
Yes. But I also want to go back to when I said, what was your feeling about how this would do, or what was your expectation? A movie doing $1 billion 5 years ago was completely different. Right? I mean, there were things that made $800,000 that you go, I wouldn't even watch that again if I had to see it. I think that was in the craze of DC's building this universe, like to see what they would. It was more of a curiosity thing. And when James Gunn comes in and says, well, none of these movies matter moving forward, they're just movies now. I think that killed it. They were only expecting to do $40 million opening weekend on a holiday weekend. Like, that is horrible.
Yeah.
Is it something that you would have, like when it was announced, where you're like, oh, I definitely want to see that? Or did you care?
I mean, I enjoyed the first one, and I knew that I'd already made the decision to wait until it's on Max to see it. So, which, I mean, I'll still see it when it drops on Max, but
if this was a series on Max, like what I want to say, like What If that Marvel's doing, if it was half an hour thing, I think it would have been better.
Yeah.
I think the expectation when it's a film, this goes back to when Scorsese says these movies aren't cinema.
Yeah.
Right? Which you can, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I vehemently disagree with that up till Endgame. Now I'm starting to go, well, he might have a couple of good points here, but this is what I'm talking about, where it's this thing in a vacuum existing on its own, I don't think works. I think in the superhero genre that you have to be part of something bigger to make this an event, not a movie. That's my own opinion. I didn't go to film school. I just see a lot of films. I'm trying to think of a superhero thing that would exist without being a part of something bigger. Like Wolverine, I think by itself, right?
Wolverine, I mean, the first Iron Man, because there wasn't anything beforehand. So
that works. So you didn't need the other
contained.
The first Captain America.
Yeah.
But that's when you start that world building thing.
Well, I think we talked about it in one of the last episodes. I think so. Maybe it was off screen. That first phase of Marvel, like they were all contained, but then give you a little something.
Right.
They really weren't trying. I mean, they were kind of building to the Avengers, but it wasn't like, oh, we have to intertwine every little thing. Right. And, it was each contained by itself a good movie. Then at the very end, credit scene, here's your little link to the next movie or whatever. Right. And it's just kind of gotten out of hand.
But don't you feel that that's what's happening now? Is that Marvel, take the Black Panther movie, what's it called? Wakanda Forever. Mm-hmm. That one tried to stand on its own 2 feet. It didn't do, I don't care about box office because I didn't even look at the box office, but it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
On its own, it's a weak it's weak storytelling. It's relying on a lot of the same tropes, a lot of the same CGI. It doesn't work on its own. Black Panther itself was cool because it's introducing this character who we're putting into this universe. So it's an event that becomes part of a bigger thing. And that's where I think this Aquaman movie is that because it's not going to go anywhere, it is now you're just watching this.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any cameos because it's not going to go anywhere. And I think that's how these things could die. If I'm looking at the DC, I know that the DCEU now they're saying is dead. That's the last one. Whatever they're building in 2025, a Superman Legacy, that starts filming in March of 2024. Mm-hmm. Whatever they do with that, you're going to have 18 months or something or 17 months in between the last thing DC put out in this. What if Superman Legacy bombs because people just don't care? Because that stink from those films that didn't work is still going to carry over. And critics are going to go, what can we expect? Because these movies didn't make this and this and this, and they weren't very good. That's
what they would do if they're smart. And I have kind of a feeling that's what they're trying to do, or what they will do, is when they start promoting it, like we'll probably see more promoting of Superman Legacy than we had seen in most other of the latest DCU movies. Not including like because like you said, the Aquaman, they're just like, hey, we just need to get it. They need to get it out, and they're they'll write it off. They're just going to use it as a write off. That's all they're going to do. Warner Brothers. But what they'll do is Superman Legacy.
I would see Spider-Man Legacy.
Hey, here we go. We just created something new.
I love Spider-Man.
Trademark that.
Even though Spider-Man's already trademarked, but anyway. Superman Legacy, what they'll probably do is treat it like it's a new IP and promote the crap out of it, separating itself from the DCU and whatever they're creating a new DCU or something, different. That's what they're going to have to do if they want it to not only succeed, but to have legs for future films or whatever that James Gunn wants to do.
So being that we're probably more cynical because of our age and we've seen a lot more. Your take on Superman Legacy, does it diminish your desire to see that? Or are you just as excited because it's Superman?
I think I'm excited because of James Gunn directing it.
So go on about.
That's what I'm excited about. I don't really know much about like the production of like the movie. Like I haven't really heard about it
But you're excited because James Gunn is involved.
Yes.
So I can't remember all of the projects. There's a 10-year project window that James Gunn announced. There are some really cool things there, like the Green Lantern Corps. If you've ever seen a show called True Detective, Mia has never seen it. But it would be focusing on the Green Lanterns as like detectives. That they would be really looking, cool. There would be a crime that they're trying to solve over like a 6 to 10 episode arc. That really interests me, but that's a television show, right? That would be on Max. What I can't see is I don't think they'll take a chance and put a Green Lantern movie out again, right?
Not right away, anyway.
No, but I'm saying in the 10-year window, there's no Green Lantern other than the TV series, okay? Mm-hmm. What brands do you have? Batman, you're going to keep getting. You're going to keep getting Joker material, Harley Quinn.
Wonder Woman.
Did I say Superman already?
No.
Superman. If you only have those core, you don't have a lot to build on, right? Whereas Marvel, at least they took a chance with Black Panther, with Guardians of the Galaxy, even Thor. Like,
think of it this way, though. How I think of it is with what James Gunn's going to do. From what I've heard, I feel like it's a little bit more parallel to when Marvel first started. Right. So like phase 1 where it was Iron Man. And so you got your big ones out there to help pull some of these other ones in that they didn't get movies right away. But you still saw them in as like second, like Hawkeye, and which, I mean, he didn't get his own movie, but you know what I mean? Like some of these secondary characters, introducing them to the big population, or non-comic book fans, or, whatever, your normal moviegoers, to build up to the bigger tentpole Avengers. That's kind of what I see is what he's trying to.
Do you see him as a Kevin Feige? And I mean Kevin Feige before all of these recent bombs, where it's like you can either. So Feige's getting, what's the Batman's phrase? You can either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Feige's being looked at now, because when you look at the Russo brothers, James Gunn, Kenneth Branagh, all these people that they're not bringing back or they're going on to other projects. Kenneth Branagh has done the Perot series. He's done 3 of those movies, written and directed and all that. Massively talented. And he did Thor, and then they said, we'll take it from here and give it to Taika Waititi, who I got to find this thing to send it to you, because if you put this audio in, they asked Taika Waititi about Thor. He said he knew nothing about Thor. He never read the comics, but he was poor and he had a second child on the way and he just wanted a paycheck. He said he read 18 pages of Thor and put it down and said, this is a joke. So then he thought, this is basically a billionaire prince in space. That's how I'm treating this. Which is weird because Ragnarok is not Thor like what you would expect. But it's so good. It's so fun. It gives you everything that you want. And I think what happened is when he got to Thor Love and Thunder, he tried to make it even more so, more over the top, more, you don't know what's coming. And that made it bad. I mean, am I wrong?
No.
It was not good, right?
Usually you're wrong, but in this instance.
When it comes to movies, I know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't trust me any of them.
The goats were the best part of that movie. And I will stand by that.
It's hard for me to think that somebody could be involved. Again, who was the person that there had to be somebody guiding the ship? And from what I understand, and I would want to research this further, is that James Gunn kind of laid out the space arc of these things, what happens when they leave Earth and that kind of thing. Because he's a comic book guy. He understands it. He reads these things. For him to build that part of the universe and for the Russos to build the Captain America, Winter Soldier, or the stuff on the ground.
Yeah.
What they're doing now is they're reaching out to people that have nothing to do with comics or nothing to do with that world. I cannot think of the name of the lady that directed the Marvels, but she said that's not my movie anyway. She just directed what they gave her, and then Kevin Feige did the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Eternals was bad.
Eternals is getting a sequel.
It is?
I just read it yesterday. It's getting
disgusting.
a sequel. There's no point in doing it. It's the most divisive film in all of them.
Wasn't her name Chloe Zhao?
Yes, and they got her because she won an Academy Award. Now, it doesn't say that she's directing it, but again, the Eternals promised that they were going to be able to bring that space aspect or the eons of history of the Marvel Universe that are in the books that you go, man, that could be really cool.
It did none of that.
It didn't do any of that.
No.
And that's what makes it such a disappointment is was that right after COVID? It was around that time because that was when the theaters...
It was like the November after.
But I'm saying life was kind of...
Black Widow came out when life was getting back to normal.
But see, that was a day and date release on Disney Plus too if you paid for it.
That's right. And
It's a little bit. It was 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
That was a packed theater. And I'm telling you, it looked like a convention of people that fell off a building and landed on their tailbone. No one wanted to sit still. It was boring. It didn't go anywhere.
I heard people actually not gasp.
Oh, they were mad.
Yeah, there were people actually saying ugh and ew, and there was supposed to be this I've only seen the movie once because I would never do that to myself again because I was so hurtful. But there was supposed to be the love story between two of them, and people were actually audibly gagging. It was really bad.
It felt like you were watching a student film, half of it. But regardless,
or an independent.
That's getting a sequel. So I can't wait to see what happens with that because Aquaman 2 is not going to do numbers. That's really not going to do numbers. And then what do you do?
That might be the first Marvel movie I don't see in theaters.
Oh, don't you? You keep your mouth shut.
So nasty.
Right, we have to wrap this up, Nate.
Let's end it on a good. Let's end it on a good note. So every episode, One of us gets asked. So I'm going to ask Mia. Not you.
Loser.
Yes.
You're off the show.
Oh.
If you could suggest a film that you have recently seen, as somebody is like, hey, I want to go see something, but I don't know what I want to go see. I'll go see whatever you tell me to go see. What is that film that you would tell them to go see right now?
Out of what's in the movie theater right now, I would say Wonka or Trolls. And I know that's very music oriented, but they are both the best things in the movie theater right now. We usually see pretty much everything that comes out, and I would recommend those two.
I would second.
We don't need to hear any of that.
No, I'm supporting.
Nobody
this.
asked you.
Yes.
Oh.
You need to continue to bring her on because the episodes are a lot better because then there's less talking from you.
Maybe I just need to get rid of somebody that's normally here. Anyway, I think that's as good a place to end on a positive note.
We'll see you guys next week.